Hey, experts listeners, I want to key you into something that we do very special here at Ops Experts Club, and that's a masterclass. We have a free masterclass called Foundations That Scale. And the great thing about this masterclass is it's for operation professionals who are growing businesses. One of the most dangerous things you can do as an operator is grow businesses on a foundations that's not stable. So in this particular masterclass, we take apart all of the inside pieces of your team, your tech, and how they're using time. And we make sure that you're building on a foundation that's stable. So if you want to check out a great masterclass completely for free, go to foundationsthatscale.com. We'll see you there.
Welcome to the Ops Experts Club with Aaron, Taryn, and Savannah. This podcast will take you behind the scenes of some of the finer details of multi-million-dollar companies. These ops experts have dealt with operations for scaling companies and well-established businesses with anywhere from small to large teams. If you've ever been deep into the details of a major company, then you know how much it takes, and these conversations are just for you. Welcome to the Ops Experts Club podcast.
Yes, Ops Experts Club, Taryn Turner. How you doing today, brother?
Jazz hands.
Jazz hands today?
Yeah.
What do you do, Taryn, when you have a screen behind you and it's like cutting out all the stuff and you made use jazz hands? I can only see like jazz fingers, just like two or three. There it is.
Like
It's the
this.
magic. It's the magic. I love it. Well, man, hey, we're excited. Operations experts, those of you out there who are running businesses and running the operations side of the business, one of the greatest things we get to do here on Ops Experts is to be able to interview experts just like you who are maybe just a little bit out in front of you. And today's guest, I'm really excited because not only is he just a cool guy, like I've gotten to know him the last several years within Wellspring, which is Pete Vargas's mastermind, but he and his wife are just such special people and they've created a brand that's doing some really special things in the marketplace. In fact, I wrote this down because he said it right before we jumped on and I didn't want to get it wrong. But Lindywell is the brand and their whole shtick is guilt-free way to approach wellness. Guilt-free way to approach wellness, which I feel like is unique because I think every time I get on the scale, I'm feeling a little bit guilty. And so what I'm excited to talk about today is a way I can feel less guilty, Taryn Turner. So with no further ado, let's bring forward Matt Long from Lindywell. Matt, thanks for joining us, man.
Hey, gentlemen. Great to see you. Hey, Matt.
Great to see you. So you and your wife, Robin, have created this beautiful thing called Lindywell. You're the chief business officer. But really, like you were saying a little bit pre-show, you're the spouse to the founder, which means you're the one that helped get this thing up off the ground. And I know you guys have experienced amazing success, but I'd love you to tell just our listeners a little bit about Lindywell, maybe some of your journey along the way, maybe some of the difficult things you've had to get over. You know, we'll pepper you with a couple extra questions, but maybe just give us an origin story, how you guys started this venture.
Yeah, I'm happy to. It started about 12 years ago. I was in grad school. My wife, Robin, she was teaching Pilates in kind of a traditional way. So she was in person in a studio. We actually had a tiny little apartment, little 700 square foot apartment in Menlo Park, California. And she was even teaching out of there too. And so we were just scrapping and getting by. And I was away at grad school in the evenings, and she just kind of was driven to grow and build. And she didn't know it yet, but she's an entrepreneur at heart to the core. And she just kind of got in on the early end of that blogging. This is before a lot of fitness was online, but she started blogging. She started running a few programs online, running people through like these 6-week kind of life change programs. And, fast forward, like I said, over a decade later, it's grown. It's been quite the adventure. I was probably chief, cheerleader for the first 6 years, just behind the scenes, helping, run the books. And, she was bounce things off me. But then, yeah, it was about 6 years ago that I jumped in with her full time, left my career in education. And we've been running that thing ever since. And it's been not boring, never dull. And we really loved growing it together though.
I love it. So when people are looking up Lindywell, what they're looking at when they look it up is like, tell me again, you guys have your own app? You have coaches around that programs within your app? Tell me a little bit about what you offer.
Yeah, the app is we're built all around the app. So it's all, membership based. So it's, sign up for the free trial, get inside the app, and then everything is pretty much right there for you. It's shorter workouts and there's nutrition, there's, recipes and things like that. But it's a monthly rhythm to the membership. So you've got new resources coming out every month. And really there's a community involved. And so there's a lot of people kind of rooting for each other and connecting virtually. Coaching officially in terms of like, you can't really take it beyond that yet, but it's really built to kind of cater to that busier person, mostly women, a lot of busy moms, a lot of moms kind of fitting their wellness in the cracks. We'd like to think that it's just built to make it easy for people to in a more approachable way. The messaging is much more approachable. A lot of our, customers might not set foot in a gym. That might not be their most comfortable place. They might not have the time or the resources to do that. So we try to create an option for them it's just easier. It's more convenient. It's more approachable, and it helps people be consistent.
Wow, that is awesome, Matt. I mean, that sounds great. Along the way, it's been 12 years. What's been one of your key learning moments in building this thing up to where it is here, especially operational wise?
Yeah, man, there've been a lot of learning moments along the way. The biggest probably, milestone and I guess it was a pivot, you could say that comes to mind right away. We moved it to a membership model. So it was, like I said, Robin was kind of running these online programs. They were going 4 weeks at a time, 6 weeks at a time. She was kind of feeling like she had to, churn out a bunch of new stuff. And we will celebrate 10 years of membership next month, February, actually. And we still do have a handful of people who have been around, members for those full 10 years. So we get to celebrate with them, which is super fun. But that was just a huge moment where we realized, obviously the business model changed dramatically, but it changed kind of what we were able to offer. And when it became membership, it became this, here's this library of resources that people can jump in and have access to. And then we can, kind of cater the messaging to the different rhythms of the months and the years. So that really changed everything. That was a huge turning point in the business, and we really haven't looked back.
Yeah, that's big because we see so many, self-starters, entrepreneurs, they're doing the same thing and they so easily burn out because it's just so much on them, and they have to be the one creating and producing and being everything behind it every day instead of getting to be more visionary and be more direction. So that's great. And when you can pivot like that, you can really see some growth like you did.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Matt, I'm wondering, so did it start as an app? Like, when did you guys make the decision this all has to exist on a platform that's uniquely an app-based thing? And then has the app developed over time? And are you still using the same platform you used when you first kicked it off? Because that many years ago was early on in app platform building, like software. Just curious.
Yeah, no, there's been different iterations for sure. It was, I think originally it was just a blog, like a password protected blog on Blogspot. And it was like, that was the gateway to get in. And then we did move to an actual app. It was a template video app. And that was probably, about halfway along that journey. We worked with a company who had, like I said, built a template, made the video sharing very easy. And it was a really nice kind of because apps can be obviously really expensive to build custom. So this was a much more just sort of palatable way to test out the app model. We did outgrow it after a couple of years. Just we needed more features, more customization. I think we became kind of their biggest client, and we were just asking for things that they weren't built to do. So yeah, it was 2022 is I think when we launched our own app that we had built. So we dove right in and built the full thing, and we've been running it on that app ever since. So we have developers who we still work pretty closely with, and to put out updates and developments. And we have kind of figured out along the way what our sprints look like and what the technology requirements are. But yeah, that was another probably milestone moment where we built the app and said, all right, we're actually a different company now, and the app is our product, and it required much more time, energy, investment. And so that's, like I said, a couple of years doing that too.
It's cool to see. I know Tara and I get to watch. I feel like we've had the privilege of being able to grow alongside some really great names out there, and I think that the common thread I think we see in a lot of it is like, start small, start niche, start with what you're doing. And then as your market proves itself, make that next leap, and then like sustainability, carry that until it's like, we can't grow within this pool anymore. Like, we're gonna have to make another jump and then make the jump there. Sometimes I think people feel like they have to have it all figured out from the get-go, and they have to do all the build at the beginning, and then they take on all this cost on the front end without really establishing their base first and letting their base kind of dictate, well, what are the things that our people are going to want? Because I know there are a lot of times in business where maybe as a visionary, I think I know what people want, but it's not until you get them interacting with something you've created where people are pretty verbal. Like they begin to ask for the things that they want. And then you can watch the trends. Then you can kind of build your platform based upon what their asks are. Do you feel like that's kind of what led you into building your own platform? Was the limitations were things that people wanted more of and things that you were hoping that you could grow in, but they just couldn't do it on the old platform?
Yeah, that's the way you said it has been kind of encapsulates the last couple, 2, 3, 4 years of our experience around technology. We tested out this template model because we just wanted to know, because honestly, the price tag of building our own was just so intimidating that we just didn't want. We had never grown that way. From the very beginning, we had never, taken on any debt or taken any really huge, financial risks or leaps. Obviously, starting your own business is in itself a leap, but we chose to grow really slowly and steadily and kind of minimize the risk and the huge numbers in terms of investments. And once, to your question about the app and the technology, once that was proven out that this was a viable model, it was something that served people well. And then, yes, they were asking for more features. And then we realized, if we build this thing with these certain features that we know will be received well, we're confident in the return on that. And we're confident that that's the direction that the business needs to grow, and even just like telling that story again and thinking about that story again out loud, it makes me think about the past year where we kind of honestly probably got away from that in terms of like growth trajectory and got a little bit out over our skis. And we were trying to do things faster than ever, more than ever. And it was like, we just had to kind of pull back and get back to the way we built this thing and get back onto that track. So that lesson in technology was actually kind of a business-wide lesson as well.
Wow. Yeah. What would you call like a big learning moment you've had that you love to share with people? Maybe something you wish you would have had 10 years ago. Maybe somebody in the same shoes as you, solopreneur, husband to a solopreneur, something like that.
Yeah. Oh man. I mean, this is, still top of mind to just kind of elaborate and unpack a bit more. What I was saying is this past year, 2024 was a year of major lessons, and most of them were around the type of growth that we were pursuing, right? I think in some ways we started to almost want to act like maybe a bigger company, maybe a bigger software company, and maybe spend some of those bigger numbers and pursue, not that our goals haven't always been big. We've always been pretty ambitious on the goal side, but we've also been pretty kind of slow, steady, conservative in the way that we pursued those goals, where it wasn't, hey, we're going to spend our way there. We're going to, dump a bunch of money into this area or these ads or this app, but it was proving out, testing and learning. That's been a phrase that we have become a mantra for us around here is the testing and learn. We're going to test and iterate and learn. We're going to test and learn our way to growth. And that's the way we're going to do it. And we're going to reduce the size of the bets that we're making and maybe the quantity of bets that we're making. And we're going to make these smaller ones, learn from them, and then just keep chipping away. And for us, and that's been a real sweet spot for us. And that's become kind of our wheelhouse as business owners. And we actually feel like that serves not only our customers really well, but it actually serves our team well, because what we experienced in doing it the other way, the bigger bets and trying to do a bunch of different things at once, we were really like our team was kind of fraying and struggling and stressing and burning out. So it's been a huge learning for us. I think that's why I can sit here today in January 2025 and say we feel like we've kind of changed the trajectory and we feel good about that.
Cool. Kudos to you guys, because I feel like what you described right there is like the zone that Taryn and I live in. Like as far as, we're under all these hoods, I think we're at like 26 or 27 clients right now. And it's like all these visionaries that have all these big ideas that roll up on Monday morning. They're like, we're changing everything, or it's like they've got all these things. They're trying to launch things simultaneously. And it's like, I think what you just said is so much better, like slow, calculated, smaller bets. I mean, rather than betting the farm on this next big idea, because you had a really big idea last week that you told us was your best idea ever. So now when you roll up with it on it on us with it this week and you're like, this is my best idea ever, you leave your people to wonder, well, like, what does that mean about last week? And what does that mean about today's? Are you going to come to me with something tomorrow? And I think obviously as visionaries and as people trying to build businesses, you're trying to come up with the next thing, right? You're trying to be the sharp end of the spear. You're trying to knock down the new clients or the new purchasers, your new customers. But at the same time, I think that a lot of team is burned through by taking on too many things all at once. And then it's really hard to know, did that work? Did it not work? Were there
Mhm.
too many other variables where it was like we just half baked, rolled that thing out, and then we didn't even really give it a fair shake because we're working on too many other things? So I think kudos to you guys for recognizing that and taking a breath and a step back, and like cool, calculated decision making is so smart.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. And yeah, it's hard earned lessons, and that comes out of, some real fires. But I believe that really, like, to my core, what you just said about the way to grow. And certainly, like, it's really tempting to like approach it with a higher ceiling and go, hey, like, it's a little bit of shiny object syndrome, where it's like, look, the
Yeah.
ceiling's way up here. If we do it this way, like,
Yeah.
what's possible really explodes. And I think that's true. But what we learned after taking maybe a few steps along that path is, for us, that didn't end up being the path that we wanted, because we realized even what's at the end of it wasn't the way we wanted to build it. It wasn't quite worth maybe the cost.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's beautifully said. Like Aaron said, we work with a lot of people, but not all of them have the foresight to realize not all of their ideas are good ideas. Visionaries, they're awesome at having ideas. Doesn't mean they're all good ideas. And it's really key to just take that step back and be like, all right, small test, evaluate, and then either move forward or move on and repeat through the ideas until you get to that big one that works.
And just this last week, maybe a couple weeks ago, we had our first client ever. Taryn, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like this was the first client ever that said, hey, Aaron, Taryn, I want to hire you guys on to be my, like, whoa, pull back on that. Like be the gatekeeper, be the one. I've got all these ideas and I feel like I want to go on all of them. And I need somebody that's just going to come back and push back on me a little bit and challenge it and say, hey, wait, how does that line up though with our annual goal? And like, where does that fit in the vision? And that sounds like a really cool idea, but what does that do with these other things that we're in the middle of rolling out? And I think, man, a lot of kudos to people who are willing to have somebody that comes alongside and challenges them. Because as a visionary, like, you don't always like being challenged, right? You just want to be like, I'm looking for a team that's going to be a go time team. Like, I come and tell you, and you're going to go and do it, and you're going to execute my vision. But I really do think having somebody that you can trust, that you can work through things with, who'll give you a little bit of pushback, and especially somebody that's a historical narrative where they're like, hey, we've been around this mountain a couple times now. Like, this isn't our first go around on this thing. So somebody that's going to hold you accountable to that, I think, is so valuable. And I think it's so wise just to really ideate around, who is it that we're going after, and what is the niche we're trying to meet, and what is the best way to get there, and then to educate yourself based upon your history. You've been around so long. I mean, so the beauty is all your people have been building up and telling you exactly what they're looking for. And if you'll just listen and then give them what they want in a way that's an easy yes, I feel like that's the easiest way to sell from my perspective.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you guys know this just as well as anybody, better than most, probably because of the amount of visionaries you come alongside, you work with. There's this beautiful balance to it. And if you can have it embedded on your leadership team or on a team that you work with, you collaborate with, like, that's the sweet spot, is to have that visionary and those ideas. And so for us, that's Robin. Like, that's really not me. Like, it's her heart and soul that, like, bursts forth with, ideas and vision. And we have, over the years, figured out who balances that. And, I do some of that balancing. We have a director of operations who is amazing at that. She'd be a great person to chat with at some point. She is wired in the way that, just like, she receives vision, it goes through a filter of operations, and it comes out in this coherent, organized, like, balanced way. And so if you can find the right, balancing, that's really, I think that's as good as you can do.
Yeah. When it comes to you finding, so for us, like listening to your story, when it comes to finding new people, like, are you pretty like ads driven? Like you're driving from ads and that's how you introduce people to the platform and that's how they come in. And then once they're in your ecosystem, do you do launches around new things that are coming out within the membership or how does every year when it comes up on a new membership renewal, is it the new things that you're adding that keep people in the game and keep people saying yes? Or maybe talk us through a little bit about your strategy around that.
Yeah, yeah, and that's certainly evolved over time too. But the way we built it, I would say for the first, 6, 8 years at least, we were a live launch driven closed membership model. So it was that classic launch model of like, hey, free challenge, as many, thousands of people come in and check it out and then sell on the back end, memberships closing. And that's really, we did those two times a year, a fall and a spring. And it was essentially like rinse and repeat. Right. And a lot of that was, we definitely jumped on the paid ads train and learned that as well. That was kind of the time I was joining. So like, 20, 2016, 17, 18, somewhere in there, I was starting to come in and like just bring a numbers perspective. So there was a lot of ads driven leads that we were generating. We're no longer in that open closed membership model. So the urgency has to be created in ways. We're still largely, paid traffic driven in terms of getting people to the site, exposed to the brand, into a trial. We do still do 2 live challenges, launches a year, fall and spring, but those have just morphed a little bit. And, in terms of, well, I guess to talk a bit more about the the paid traffic, we've been learning quite a bit over the past year or two of just sort of that lengthened nurture requirement where it felt like in the heyday, we could just like, here are the leads, come in, free trial, sell it on the back end, a lot would join. What we're learning is that there's a lot more storytelling and nurturing and touch points that have to happen once somebody's in your ecosystem before they're ready to join a membership. And there's a variety of factors that go into that, but the end result is we've learned a lot on that front. And you asked about retention, which is our constant question: is what is retaining people? Why are people sticking around? We feel like we have very strong retention, and ultimately, it does come down to just like engagement, like how engaged are they with the membership? And it doesn't necessarily have to be like they're doing, 6 workouts a week. Some of it's email opening. Some of it's, we offer physical product now. So maybe there's a little bit of connection. They have a mat now. So we've learned quite a bit about what retains a member, but it's that question that does kind of drive a lot of what we do, is retaining our members.
I love that. One of the things I love most, Matt, about you and Robin, I'm going to lean in a little bit on a personal level. One of the things I love most about you and Robin is I feel like you're just such humble and authentic people. I mean, I think a lot of people in the health and wellness space, like there's just a lot of bravado that comes with it. You know what I mean? Or there's a lot of like ego or like maybe super, super beautiful people, but it's a little intimidating for average folks, like to want to know, how do I fit into this? And obviously I think that you and Robin are such beautiful people, but at the same time, like I feel like your approach is really humble, not pushy. Maybe could you lean a little bit on that whole idea of the guilt-free way to approach wellness? Like, what do you feel like that's some of the magic? Because your wife is just such an incredible lady, man. I love her a lot. She's a great woman.
Yeah. Thank you. I do think that has become part of the brand for sure, is Robin's approachability, the humility that she brings into the space. Cause, to your point, yes, fitness can often be it's personal brands. It's people basically saying like, look at me, look what I did, and that sells. That type of thing really does sell. So Robin has had a really strong passion from the beginning for bringing a different message, bringing a different approach, something that resonates with, and maybe just a different crew of people who are they're not really drawn to that. And so I do think that kind of down to earth, you use the word humility, that really has become a part of, it's like seeped into the brand, it's seeped into the offering. And what we hear from members is, I feel like I know Robin. I feel like I she's my instructor, but I just feel like I know her, and she just makes it, easy and fun. approachable. And I think that is a bit of the secret sauce for us, is that's why people stick around, because they're like, yeah, I feel like and she films everything on the beach too, which that doesn't hurt. So they're like, hey, I'm in my apartment in, Omaha, Nebraska, and I just feel like I get to hang out at the beach for 10 minutes with Robin, do my Pilates. And, she tells me I'm done for the day, and I'm just like, I'm renewed, I'm whole, and I'll just keep doing it because it's approachable and it's consistent. And we hear a lot of people telling the story that, I've never been able to stick with this before, of anything like health related. And I've tried so many things, but this is the only thing that I've ever been able to stick with. And I think there is something there. There is some magic there in making it approachable because of who Robin is, right? Because her approach can become your approach, and it doesn't have to be like so intense and, so intimidating. So I think that's kind of what you're asking about, but obviously I agree wholeheartedly.
Wow.
Great.
Well, I'm going to switch gears just a little bit. I think operations wise, one of the things we always are helping out with relates to people. So the people of the business. Do you guys have a recipe you're following? Do you find it hard to maintain people? Do you have a good culture, or you've lined out that really has bled into the people you've brought on with you?
Yeah, I hope so. I really hope so. It's something that is really close to our hearts. Our team has, it's for Robin and I, it's almost equally as fun and like life-giving to pour into our team, to build the team that we built. When you compare that to, maybe the thousands of people that we get to serve every day. But the team is a very special group, and team culture is something that we've been really intentional about from day one. We always tell the story, like I never will forget. We used to live in Colorado, and we were really starting to kind of grow. And Robin was like, I think I'm ready to hire someone, and, taking applications. And I just remember all the applications printed out on our living room floor, and we're going through them, and we're like, oh, this lady seems awesome. She seems great. And the person we ended up hiring kind of played every role. She started kind of answering emails, worked all the way up to senior director of operations. She's still a dear friend. And I think for us, it's kind of the same way I answered, Aaron, your previous question. It's like, at a certain point, who you are is just going to sort of seep out, and that's going to be the culture. And so there's no faking leadership and team and culture building. And you can read a book about it, and you can try to do that thing, and that's great. That'll maybe move you in the right direction. But ultimately, like, your team culture is, it's essentially an extension of, who you are, how you treat people, how you take care of them, where your heart is. And for us, our hearts are to build something that attracts people and encourages people and lifts people up, whether that is someone doing the workout in, Slovenia. We just had somebody sign up last night from Slovenia. I shared that with our team. Or is it someone on your team who's answering emails and, being encouraged by you as an owner and the opportunities that they have? So, I mean, you could tell that's something that I really could talk about all day on. It's really close, near and dear to who we are. So something that we care a lot about.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. Yeah, I mean, team culture, it can end up steering the boat. And so you take your eyes off the wheel for 1 second, you got the right team culture in, it's going to keep going. You got the wrong team culture in, and all of a sudden the boat's sideways. So it's a huge part of the growth.
I think what you said there at the end was really true, Matt. Like that, and I haven't heard somebody say it so succinctly, but it was so good about like who you are is going to eventually seep out, and it's going to affect your entire team. And Pete and Tara and I have seen that, like, for better or for worse, right? Like, for better or worse, it's going to seep out. And like, you're right. Like, as goes the captain, so goes the ship eventually, So teams that Tara and I have a hard time tracking down, are they doing the stuff they're supposed to be doing? And the visionary's really upset because he's not sure their people are doing the stuff that they're supposed to be doing. A lot of times we can't get the visionary to do the stuff he's supposed to be doing. You know what I mean? So it's just like funneled down into the rest of the team. They've realized, oh no, there isn't a standard here of that. And therefore it's created this whole culture. Whereas if you have a visionary that's like, no, this is a priority, I'm going to lean into this, I'm going to give myself to it, you see the other. So Matt, I feel like we could talk to you all day. I would love an introduction to your ops gal, because I think that she sounds like an amazing guest on the show too. If somebody wants to get a hold of you, wants to check out Lindywell, where would you like them to go?
Yeah, we're pretty easy to find on social. Obviously, it's at We Are Lindywell. I think all the social platforms. Lindywell.com is a great place to start. You can find the free trials and everything we offer there. But yeah, in one of those two places, yeah, you'll find what you need.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Matt, thank you so much for joining us on the show. Great having you
you,
here on
Matt.
Ops Experts. Ops Experts, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you guys all next week here on Ops Experts Club.
Thank you for tuning in to the Ops Experts Club podcast. New episodes available every week on Spotify, iTunes, and everywhere you listen to podcasts. If you're curious about how some of the biggest names in entrepreneurship have scaled their businesses to the next level, check out some of our best content on this topic by going to foundationsthatscale.com. You can find the link in our bio and do your part to improve as an ops expert.